What's up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my own new review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. This episode is centered around Destiny and her dating life, and it really wasn't a good look for me to watch, for me to see, for me to hear. And it's like, Destiny, this is what you want your storyline to be? Because I don't want to hear you talk about how you did not get a chance to explain or showcase what you really wanted to talk about when you could have did it. To have everybody be in conversations about your dating life and whether or not you're having sex with these men when you say you're not, even though you're single, you can do what you want to do, is just tiring. I don't like it. Because to me, Destiny, this isn't a good look for you, and I really don't like you like that. But I wouldn't want my storyline to be about how many men I'm dating on the show, and people are coming up with conversations about whether or not I'm sleeping with them when that's not what you're doing. But anyway, let's move on. We got Martell. He meets up with Chris and Destiny to go over blueprints for a house, okay? Destiny wants to cash in her friendships to get ahead in her real estate career because it never made any sense to me when she decided to get back into real estate. The first thing she do is ask Martell to get her some listings. She can create her own clientele. You got to use Martell to get ahead. Fine. Destiny doesn't want to do the work. That's how it's reading out to me. And he had already promised Chris to be the seller of the house he's trying to build because he wants to build a multi-million-dollar listing of a home, a 7-bedroom swimming pool. He said this was a house or a property he had owned with Nell a few years ago before he lost it through a bankruptcy. So either he lost the title of the property or he was able to gain it back. I'm still lost at that point because if you lost it during bankruptcy, then there must have been an opportunity for you to get it back. Maybe he got it back. And to me, this is still him wanting to have something left over from when he ruined his relationship with Mel. That's what I got. Because you want to go back to what you lost, meaning you want to go back to what still tied you to Mel. And that property or that land ties you to Mel. Anyway, Chris wanted to know, okay, so how long do you think this house is going to be built? He said it's going to take about a year. And they're going to start turning dirt in about a month. Hearing Martell come up with the estimate that the house can start being built within a month and it can take about a year, it makes you wonder what's going on with Scott Manor. How come there's no clear estimate, no clear date of when that house is going to be built? Anyway, as far as splitting the commission with Destiny, Chris threw shade at Destiny by saying, I don't know how her real estate experience go, but for me, I know for a fact that that home is going to be sold before it gets built, okay? And I don't have any issue with Chris pointing that out because it is odd though, Destiny, that all of a sudden you want to get back into real estate when I have not seen you showcase that before. You've been about Madani, you've been about selling this combination of a furniture spray, carpet spray, room spray, and then these candles. I don't know. It's weird to me because it reads off as Destiny does not want to really do the work to be a good person in business, to be a great businesswoman. It's not reading off to me. But anyway, let's continue. Okay, so then we talk about game night. Destiny asks us if she doesn't know how game night went left because she said she enjoyed it up until what happened at the pool. Chris said, well, I imagine it did go left because nobody else was defending my wife and she felt ganged up on. Destiny looking lost and confused as if she doesn't know how Nell could have gotten ganged up on. Like, really? She felt ganged up on? Yes, she did, Destiny. She said it when it was happening. She said, what is this? Y'all ganging up on me? And she called out Tisha and Kimmy. So, yes, she felt ganged up on. Because while Chris was hearing how it happened, he saw how it happened. And he saw that nobody was defending Nell. And that's exactly what happened, Destiny. And listen, he even said it. It's not like he's expecting for Destiny to pick a side, but if you have been friends with my wife for quite a while now, I would imagine you would understand and be on her side than to be on their side. But that's not what Destiny is, though, Chris. Destiny is not a real friend to nobody, okay? And he said, how did it go left when it was supposed to be a simple conversation between her and Tisha? Destiny said it's because of the information that I got from Nell and that I relate to both of them about how there might have been a miscommunication. See, Destiny, this is the reason why you're the bone carrier, because you added more fuel to the fire that was already settled, and you added more fuel when you went down to Bessemer to tell Tisha more information. See, Destiny, you just don't want to admit you are the one that is adding more mess to create more mess, because that's what you're supposed to do. That's your role, is being messy and then looking lost as if you don't know how it got messy. Good night. So, Destiny, fuck you and your lack of awareness and not understanding how Nell can feel ganged up on and say that maybe there needs to be a conversation. Why? So she can tell you how she feels. You can go back and tell Letitia how she feels, make it more of an issue. No, good night. And then along with what happened with Nell and the rest of the girls, we're also talking about how Destiny arrived at game night with Will. Now, I don't know why Destiny is always having that coy, naive look on her face whenever she's talked about. Like she doesn't know we're not supposed to talk about her. Like, I don't get it. But to me, they were laughing at Destiny for having all of these men being in close proximity of each other, okay? So Martell was asking Destiny, does she like Will? She said, I mean, we're just friends. I've only known him for a few weeks. So he was all about asking about Lance. She said, that's over. Okay, so what about Twan? Well, he was my bodyguard at a couple of my events, but there's nothing there. Destiny, you can't look annoyed and look in the camera as if they're not supposed to ask you, because this is what you presented to us this season. You're making your dating life your entire storyline. You're not giving us nothing else. So if they're asking you about your dating life, you got to talk about it, because that's what you presented to us. You said it to Martell when y'all were at that furniture store. If somebody's going to show you interest, you're going to accept that interest and follow pursuit on that. But then Martell and Chris recalls a conversation they had with Will at the gym. And it was locker room talk once again, where Will is not a one-woman kind of guy. He likes to have his options. He likes to dip and dab. Okay, but do you like Destiny? Do you want to be with her? Do you see something? He's trying to be selective, want to keep his options open. So that's why Martell was wondering if anything else progressed between y'all, because from what we talked about at the gym and what we talked about at game night, he was giving off the impression he wanted to hit it and quit it. So she said, wait, first of all, that's not happening over here. I am not a hit it and quit it kind of girl. That's why it didn't happen with Lance. Okay, girl, let it go. And it was of no shock that Milk Dud head ass Martell wants to be the misogynistic asshole that he's always been, to say that women should not hold out on having sex with a man, because that's not what they should do. Destiny said, well, just because you want to lower your standards doesn't mean that I should, because if a man is not going to commit, he's not going to hit. Okay? And I agree 1000% with Destiny. Just because I am dating does not mean you have the automatic right to believe you're going to get some. No. Unless I feel like you're worthy of what I got, then you're going to hold off on that. Because Martell, you are the father of 3 daughters. So are you going to teach your daughters that by the time they are going to start having sex, that men are going to peer pressure them into having sex when they don't want to, and they should just go ahead and give in? Is that what you're going to teach your daughters? Is that what you're going to teach your son as well? That if he hears the word no, that means yes? Yeah, that's dangerous, Martell. But how should I be surprised when this is how you've always thought? Because let's not forget, this is why you have ended your marriage for. You've ended your marriage because somebody wasn't giving you sloppy toppy all the time, as if that was all that was end all. As if that was the end all be all to be in a satisfying relationship. If your woman was able to give you sex every single time you wanted it, no ma'am. And that's all you cared about, was receiving this kind of sex all the time. No ma'am. That's not going to work over here. Okay? So you can stay over there in your He-Man woman hating club factor that way. Don't come over here with that, okay? Because that's not going to work in my realm. That you're going to be objectifying women in this manner. And you said it right in front of Destiny. As if Destiny is not going to be in that same position for herself. As if she should not be mindful of who she should give her cookie to. She should be mindful as well. While she is dating out here and she's not having sex with them, she should be mindful of who she decides to give her cookie to. Somebody who's earned the right to have it, who's earned the ability to treasure it, to protect it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't gonna work over here. Excuse me. But then again, Martell, I'm reminded this is the reason why your marriage ended the way that it ended, because you decided to go to the opposite side of the streets where you thought the grass was greener, to believe that this is what you deserve, and it's not what you deserve, and you've been miserable since then. So you can go ahead and go to hell. You and your He-Man woman hating club members can go that way. And we're moving on from there. We got Nell. Nell is having a conversation with Chris about her boutique she wants to open called Posh and Pritzy. Pritzy was a nickname that her grandmother used to call her. And this has been a dream of hers since she was a teenager. And I'm very happy for Nell. I hope we get to see the fruition of this boutique. And she wants to go with Chris to make sure that he finds the right building with the right size. Lance is stopping by because they got some things to talk about. So Lance tells us he has rehired his brother His brother has gotten better. He's doing the job. But Lance tells us that he's gotten frustrated with Chris Jr. because Chris has been feeling like he should be paid more. Well, if you don't meet the qualifications of deserving to be paid more, then you're going to get paid the standard pay. Like the entitlement of Chris assuming that because you got hired back, that you're going to get more money. No, if you don't have the experience in being in this field, then you're going to need to ask your brother how he can gain more experience, gain more like training certificates of being in a higher position to make more money. Like that's how you handle your shit when you're looking for ways of making more money instead of having your hand out like the gross sister to believe that your brother's going to fix your problems for you. No, he's already done his part by hiring you back, which I don't think he should have. That's why it's always sticky to hire family, because family is going to want to be taken care of at all times without doing the work. That's not going to work in my... No. Not going to work. But Nell wasn't lost on how Lance has felt about Chris, because Chris went and vented about his feelings to Nell. Nell was like, listen, I don't want to get between two brothers fighting, so y'all got to figure it out. I'm not getting in it. Good, Nell. Keep on reminding yourself not to get involved in your children's business like this, okay? But Chris had the idea of maybe they should have a family dinner. You know what happens when the Fletchers gets together, okay? And she doesn't think it's a good idea because we be having deep, dark moments. I get to yelling. It's never going to go well. But Chris wants to discuss the boundaries that might have been broken, because the last time they implemented boundaries, and I guess some time have changed, some time have passed, and maybe there hasn't been any good changes. But she said, okay, well, we're going to have a whole lot of people here. I'm not cooking. I'm going to cater. So is there anybody else that is coming I should be aware of? Chris made a joke about inviting Dr. Francis. She said, no, not going to work. To be honest, though, Nell, you do need intense, deep therapy. Maybe not with Dr. Francis, but you need somebody else. And maybe a mediator would have been a good idea to have at this dinner. But we're going to get to that. Moving on. Destiny. Destiny has a skate date with Will, but they're at a park. I know there is a couple of skating rinks in Huntsville. I've seen Mel on her Instagram skating. So was Will too cheap to take her out on a real proper date to skate? So we do it at the park? And Destiny, this was not the proper attire for a skate date. Why would you wear this dress? I'm pretty sure as soon as Will told you what y'all were doing, you should have changed. But you didn't. What's up with that? And Will, you wearing these tight ass pants that you can't really move in. You are too big at top and skinny at the bottom. That is not a good combination. Moving on. But to me, this man is not trying to do things to impress you. He's just trying to do things just to do things. So then they sit down and have a little picnic where he wanted to play a Blues Clues game to tell her how he is, give clues about how he became this kind of person. There was a little tiny play basketball in the basket to represent his love of basketball, and that he played very good in college. Then we get to how he has 4 children by 4 different women. The youngest one is 6. I would have had a follow-up question and have asked, what are the other ages? How far are they apart? Are they close? How are the relationships between the other mothers? Or do you have a good relationship with the mothers? Those would have been my backup questions. He said he's never been married, but he was engaged once. To which baby mama? I want to know, how long was that relationship? How have you been in relationships? As it turns out, the way he had his 4 kids was by 4 different situationships. They weren't like real long-going relationships. So what were they? And as far as like not wanting to be in a committed relationship, he went around the question to say, listen, I'm not the type of person who thrives to be in monogamous relationships. I want to be with the right person or right persons. This guy wants to be in a polyamorous relationship with 2 women, basically to have the ability to date more than one woman without it being an issue. And Destiny said, that is not for me. I don't share. And he just wanted to know how they're going to get on with their next date. She said, wait, hold up, pump your brakes. I got more questions to ask you. He said he is an open book and that he'll never lie to her, but he won't volunteer the truth. Meaning that you'll lie. Meaning that you need to be asked specific questions for a specific situation to get a specific answer. Yeah, that's mind games. I don't have time for games. If you're going to play semantics and play on statistics, no. I don't have time for you to be playing on semantics. If I ask you a certain question, knowing that it's a very well-rounded question of what it is I'm asking you, and you give me an answer that I wasn't asking for. But because I didn't ask the right question, I'm not going to get the answer that I'm asking for. Okay, but that's some game shit. I don't have time for games. Don't have time, don't have time. And you're not an open book if you're not going to tell the truth. Moving on. So then she talks about the comment that Martell made about how you were saying you're going to be on some hit and quit it type shit. Since he did not want to be accountable that he did say it, he acted like what he said was a joke, which it wasn't a joke. Then he wanted to question her about how close she is with Martell. Y'all talk to each other like that, like that? She said, of course, that's my homie. This man is running a game on Destiny, and I hope that she catches on quickly because this man is not the man for you, okay? Walk past him. Do not collect $200, okay? Then we get a flashback of him at the gym with the rest of the fellas. And he was asking the guys about Destiny, about how they were all surprised to see him walk in the game night with her. And apparently, he had been talking to Destiny. He's been aware of who Destiny has been involved with. He knew about Lance. He knew about Jalen. But he was very much surprised to know that Twan was in the mix. And he said, you know, me and Twan are like, we really good friends, you know? And it flashes back to her as asking her how does she know Twan, and she was like, well, he was a bodyguard at my event. He's like, you know, me and Twan are really good friends. I mean, we've been friends since 2002. That's a long time. And I'm like, Destiny, this is not looking good whatsoever, okay? Even though you are not doing nothing with these men, that you have every right to not do anything with these men, but it's just not looking good, and I just don't like it for you. But he asked her, is he like your personal bodyguard, or was he like a bodyguard that you have events for? She wants him to be a personal bodyguard, but I feel like, Destiny, you are not that big of a person in Huntsville. Nobody's after you. Nobody's out to get you. You don't need to be protected like that at all times, girl, please. And the date ended at that point. I want Destiny to not move any forward with Will. Will is not the man for you. Will is somebody you should stay far away from. He's giving toxicity. And venture outside of Huntsville. Okay, go to LA. Go to New Orleans. Go to Atlanta. Go somewhere else that has no ties to Huntsville. Okay, moving on. So we got Martell and Will and Ken shooting hoops. Has anybody wondered where Marsol and Maurice have been? I mean, it's not like they're missed, but it's very odd that they are not even around the men scenes. Like, y'all are really like separating yourselves or something. Where y'all been? Excuse me. Martell asked Will how was his date with Destiny. Now, Will wanted to make his opportunity to question Martell about why he told Destiny that he was on some hit it and quit it type shit. Because Martell said, that's my friend. You know what I'm saying? We've been friends since high school. She's been recently divorced. And I know she's putting herself back out there to date. And I want to make sure she's straight. So because Will feels like the loyalty should have been on him having locker room talk about Destiny, that nobody should give her a heads up. Well, you can't expect that from Martell, a guy who you really don't know, and can't expect that kind of loyalty from him when he's going to defend Destiny. And it's very, not shocking to me that he'll defend Destiny, but it's quite interesting to me that he got so much to say in defense of Destiny versus his own wife. Just saying. So Martell wanted to say, hey, prove me wrong. If you really like her, go ahead. Ask her out. See where it goes. But he don't want to no more. Since Martell forwarded his plan that all he really wanted to do was smash, he don't want to talk to her anymore. He doesn't want to see where this can go. So you pretty much wasted Destiny's time because you couldn't get what you wanted. Good night. Like, this man is a big caution sign. He's a big red flag. Do not do anything with this man. But then he says he do like her, but he's only thinking about himself. Like, this is one selfish, absorbed ass nigga right here. Okay, talking about how she looked good on my arm. But then he want to say that Destiny lied to him. How, Sway? How she lied to him? So basically, he wanted to set up as if Destiny wasn't going to be honest about what her and Twan was, because he had already had a conversation with Twan before their date to ask Twan if anything was going on between them. But I think Twan didn't say much. I think Twan was like, no, me and her were cool. We had a business lunch to see where we can maybe elevate our business arrangement and possibly lead to a conversation about dating. But he made it seem as if Twan told him that they done things. But what had they done? Like, it's so weird to me. You put all of that to paint her out to be a hoe when you wanted to fuck her too. Like, make that make sense. Like, you're not really having a valid reason about not moving forward with her. Because at the end of the day, you're not a person who wants to be in a committed relationship. So you're fucking weird. But that was pretty much the end of that conversation. I really didn't like that. How he wanted to set Destiny up. about how she never told them the truth, but she did tell you the truth. She said that her and Twan had a business lunch just to see where things go, and that was it. They never had nothing else after that. Now, Martell was in his confessional talking about he don't find it an issue with the way that Destiny is moving. If she's being honest that she's dating all these kind of guys and nothing has been done with them, then nobody should feel away about it, because Destiny said that before. If any guy that I'm interested in is going to be aware of the fact that I am dating multiple people. So if you're cool with that, you're cool with that. Obviously, Will is not cool with that. I mean, does Will even like women? I don't know. I mean, Will is nice to look at, okay? But this man has a receding hairline. He got dermal piercings in each arm, like that's sexy. And this guy spends way too much time on arms and chest days where he is not focusing on his legs and thighs, where everything can match, okay? Too much top, not enough body, okay? So, and then he gives me little dick energy. I don't know. That's just my feeling, my vibe that I get off of Will, but I don't want Will on my screen. Will can go. So we get to the final scene of the night, and that is a Fletcher family dinner. And the reason why they're having this dinner is because they want to have another open conversation about boundaries, okay? Chris believes that the boundaries are not being recognized by their children, and therefore they're feeling hurt by their children. And they want their kids to recognize how they might be hurting their parents. So they want to have an open floor of everybody expressing how they feel so they can move forward, okay? While everybody is preparing their plates, Lance had told them he invited Kira. And Nell was like, you invited Kira over for a family dinner? Yeah, I mean, we are dating. I mean, it's interesting you brought a girl over here because you were dating Destiny and she never got invited for family dinners. So, and why would you choose this family dinner? You know the reason why we're having this family dinner. So why did you invite her over here? And I agree with Nell. It was too soon. There's nothing wrong with him dating. There's nothing wrong with him bringing his girl around his family. But you got to choose which time to bring your new girl into your family. Not when we're about to be yelling and screaming across each other and exposing family secrets. That's not going to work. Okay. Like, I don't know what Lance was thinking. He said maybe because his family has a silly side, Kira has a silly side, maybe they can bond together about how silly they are with one another, but she will see how your family get down. And to be honest, I don't even think Kira's going to feel no type of way about it. So when everybody comes together, we're also seeing Twan there. He's invited over for this particular Sunday dinner. And then when Chris comes over, okay, so Nell was feeling a bit salty that she found out that Chris had moved out without letting them know why he moved out. And the fact that he was sleeping in his car for 2 nights, parked at the Walmart. And it was something that was wild to reveal. And it was like out of left field. Like, where did that come from? Because they were out one night and they saw all of his stuff packed up on the back porch. So it made it seem as if Chris Jr. just left without a conversation. It didn't look like that they kicked him out because they had said he's been living with them for about a month. So then they're going to pause Chris's decision on his new living situation at another time. Lance walks in with Kira. Kira looks way beautiful this time around. Her hair was beautiful, makeup beautiful. I loved her outfit. And I think it was Nell's niece, Kiki. She was cleaning up one of the classrooms, and she saw one of the old photos, and she recognized Lance and Kira as babies and revealed that they were in the same classes together, which is a cute story, how you guys were babies in the same class, and now you guys are reconnecting as adults. I find that really, really cute. So the ladies are in the kitchen with Kira, just talking to her, asking her what's been going on. And Nell talked about how she had the food catered, but she normally cooks, and she's a really good cook. Kira wanted to bond with her about that by saying, maybe I can come to the next family dinner and taste your cooking. Nell was like, okay, cool, I'm all for that. She gave her a high five, say, you gonna leave mama hanging? Kira thought that was an open sign to call her mama. Nell said no, Miss Nell, because she's not sure how long Kira has been dating Lance, how long she plans on dating Lance, and I don't see no ring on neither finger, so don't call me that unless you know where you fit in. I didn't find an issue with Kira asking that because she's trying to form some type of bond with Miss Nell, but Miss Nell's one of the meddling moms that sabotages her son's relationships because she doesn't believe that nobody's good enough for her son. Nell would like to choose who she believes is good enough for her sons, which is in her place to do that. But Nell, you're doing too much, okay? So the guys are talking about what's been going on with them. Big Chris talked about how they had their granddaughter and that they were up all night because her allergies were acting up. Her nose was all stuffed up and everything. Lance said, yes, I know. I understand. I don't know who did they have. I don't know if they had Lance's daughter or Chris's daughter to deal with that kind of like night. And Chris Jr. talks about since he became a first-time dad, he always puts his daughter first, okay? Anything that comes to mind is always in the benefit of his daughter. Lance is feeling very proud of his brother for stepping up to be a better man as well as him being a father. I love that. So Kayla asked Nell what's been going on with the ladies. How's everything been? Nell said the last time we saw each other, it did not go well. Kira was at a witness what happened, and then they were all like, oh, so you met Destiny. So how did that go? She kind of felt like Destiny's giving her the side eye at times when they were at game night. But when they flashed the scene, it didn't look like Destiny was targeting Kira. They probably caught Destiny off guard making a face at something else. It probably had nothing to do with Kira. So I don't know if Kira's doing too much or is trying to put a little sauce on how Destiny has been talked about, the narrative about her. But hey, I don't put it past her to not make a face. And Kira wanted to know, do you think that Destiny might feel some type of way about me being here? I mean, Nell, she ready to get the mess started. Okay, she was so loud and messy by talking about how Destiny pulled upside her house a couple of days after game night to talk to Lance because she was watching the grandkids and Lance went out to get some pizza. That was something that Kira didn't know. So Nell might feel like Kira could be feeling some type of way about Kira being over here, Kira being around the family. But why are you putting it out there like that, Nell? Why are you trying to make Kira experience with y'all be a bad one? Like you're trying to do everything you can to make her not want to move forward with Lance. Why? So when they all sat down, Kira decides to tell her that, I remember you telling me you were here with the kids and you went out to get pizza, but you never told me that Destiny was outside and y'all had a conversation. So what was that about? Now, Lance had to clear his throat because he wasn't expecting to be confronted with that information because Nell was being messy and loud for no reason. So he did talk about going out to get pizza. He came back. He pulled into the driveway. He noticed a car parked outside. He peeked in. It was Destiny. She pulled into the driveway and they talked for about 10 minutes. What did y'all talk about for 10 minutes? He said he don't know. You don't know what you talked about for 10 minutes? But he's like, listen, I'm going to say this. I have not seen her, not spoken to her. So when she came and said she was doing a care route, trying to get her baby to go to sleep, I was like, cut all the bullshit. First of all, her child is not a baby. He's like 5 years old, okay? He should be on a routine on how to know how to wake up, eat lunch, take a bath, go to bed. Like, isn't he in school? He should be on a routine. Like, you are not dealing with a baby who needs to be in a move and motion to go to sleep. He's 5 years old, okay? He got to have a tablet at some point. You got to have a timer to make sure he gets enough sleep, gets enough this. Like, girl, Destiny, please. Baby route. The hell is that? I mean, everybody found that to be a bit odd that she was outside and everything, but he wasn't trying to make it seem it was nothing that big of a deal. Then Nell kept on going, talking about the chemistry that Lance and Destiny have always had with each other, that he still flirts with her, she still flirts with him. He said, no, I don't do no flirting. Okay? Now, me and her were friends. We are still friends. We did try. It didn't work. We had a conversation about closure. That's it. That's all. Me and you are dating. We're still moving on. So that is it. That's all. I'm like, Nell, shut up. Why are you keep on trying to sabotage your son's relationship? Why? And the way you keep on bringing Destiny like this, I don't like it, Nell. I don't like it. Now, Chris, I was on his side. I find it a bit weird that Destiny was parked outside of their house. And the reason was because to put the baby to sleep when she lives on the opposite side of town. I hope that this kind of conversation gets picked up at the reunion because I need an explanation. This makes no sense. But it became an open forum for a conversation about Destiny that I wasn't really here for, because now that it was out that Lance dated Destiny, Nell wanted out Twan if he's dating Destiny. Twan was like, listen, I had a business lunch with Destiny. It was about us moving forward in a business arrangement that can lead to us being friends and maybe something more. But I honestly don't know if Twan feels that kind of way about Destiny for real, for real. I think he's just chill. Okay, he's not begging for it. He's not seeking for it. He's just like, I'm here. That's it. That is all. Okay. But then Nell ends up calling out Lance once again to say that, remember we had a conversation about you not being ready to date? Yeah, I think she wanted to trip up Lance and see if he wasn't being honest with Kira about where he's at. But obviously he has been telling Kira that, yes, I am a busy man. I have a very demanding business. I'm a full-time dad. So I might not have enough time to be with you, to date you, but I'm making an effort to do that. So all you got to do is just, work with me and we'll keep going like we've been going. So Kira, she understood because she revealed that they did have those conversations about where he's at. And she said, listen, once you get all that settled and you figured all that out and you want to still bring me along for the ride, I'm going to need for you to ask me to be exclusive and ask me to be your girlfriend. And I honestly wasn't mad at that. Everybody else is giving her props to demand what she wants. Nell felt like she was doing too much. It's like, Nell, what do you want? I mean, if a girl don't want to waste her time and she wants to know what's going on, but she still is ready to figure it out, I don't think that's an issue. Yeah, it could be, girl, you might be waiting a long time considering the fact that who you want to date, but let her figure it out. Lance is grown, Kira's grown. Let them figure it out. Nell is too invested in her son's dating life where she doesn't have the right to say anything. She has no control about whether or not Lance is ready to date or not. She really don't. And Lance even said he's not seeing anybody else. He's putting all his efforts into Kira. So Nell, sit back, please. So then we get into Chris. Big Chris asks Chris Jr., why did he decide to sleep in his car for 2 nights and did not call? The reason why Chris Jr. did not want to call because he didn't want to hear what he should have been doing. He didn't want to hear how he messed up. He didn't want to hear nothing negative about his decisions. Now, he has told them that as much as they have done a lot for them, they have cared, they have loved them, but they also feel like that their parents are holding them back. And Chris was like, so you feel like it's an obligation that we come and help you? Because I feel like what we have done is spoil y'all and y'all feel entitled for it. And I feel like for the first time, Chris was acknowledging that he's done a lot of wrong. He's made a lot of bad decisions. He's trying to figure it out. So if he decided to figure out how to get himself out of sleeping in his car for the next couple of nights, y'all won't have to give him that. And I think that's what Chris wanted to do. But I don't know. Nell was just stuck in her own space of not finding it a real thing that her own son slept in his own car as if he doesn't have a place to stay, as if he couldn't tell us what was going on. There's a reason why, Nell, your kids don't like to come to you, because we've been through this before. You never give them the proper space to express how they feel. You're too busy yap, telling them what they're doing wrong without being supported. So then we get into the conversation that Nell and Chris have had about when should we cut the kids off? Because it did look like that Chris threw Nell out there as being the problem, as being the one who hasn't been trying to let y'all go. She said, no, we've had those conversations. What I have stood on is not wanting to see my son in prison. So I can't disagree with Nell on that. If I've done everything I can, I'm going to make sure he is not in this position again. But at the same time, though, how many times will he keep putting himself in that position? At this point, if he gets locked up, he gets locked up. He's going to have to figure out how to get himself out, learn the lesson that way, and not have his problems be fixed so easily by his parents. So Chris Jr. talks about it feels better when you figure things out for yourself, because there are times where you don't feel supported by somebody who's always telling you what you're doing is wrong, who always telling you not you're going to ever get it right. So I can hear that. I can recognize that. And it just went left for some reason. And she came at Chris sideways, Chris Jr. sideways. Lance had to come in to defend that Dad really didn't say anything wrong. He was listening to Chris. He wasn't writing it off. Chris told him why he did what he did. So what are you not hearing, Mom? I mean, respectfully, I don't understand. Nell snapped up on Lance. He's like, no, ma'am, I'm not trying to come at you or anything. I'm just trying to understand, where did it go left? I want to understand why it went left. And she's talking about, Chris, you got something to say? Please defend yourself. You got to live here with me. What's going on here? He said, I ain't got nothing to say. I said what I had to say. Well, you feel some kind of way because Lance feel it for you. So what's going on? I don't know what happened. I don't know if Nell felt slighted because Chris wasn't addressing what they both talked about, and she only felt like I'm the one that's being blamed when it's not fair, when I do everything. But then, Nell, it goes back to you always saying how you do everything. You are constantly putting yourself out there, being ready to fix any problem that your kid bring to you, and you're not getting the proper recognition in return. And I feel like that's really bothering you to this point. You're hurting yourself because you're not getting the proper respect and recognition that you have done all these years to help your kids out. But the boundaries y'all had placed last season, I feel like you're the one breaking them. And Lance even said, I understood what the boundaries were. They were financials, right? And come to find out, Lance still owes Nell and Chris money from the time that they've helped him. So it's like, what else did I miss? Was there new boundaries? No, that was the main boundaries. But he's like, how are we back here? So again, Nell's crying. She's slamming tables about how I have been the one shelling out money. I have been the one that done a lot for y'all, and I'm tired. There are a lot of things that I want to do, that we want to do, but they keep on getting pushed in the back burner because I'm always helping y'all. Now, it looks as if this is probably only on the boys. I don't hear nothing she's saying about Kiki and Kayla. They're probably not doing nothing that's bothering Nell that much but her boys. Her boys are the main ones that are pushing her over the edge. But Nell, this is also something you need to recognize within yourself and Chris too. You guys have not taught your kids financial responsibility. That if somebody lends them money, they should know they have to pay it back. You being their parent, y'all should have taught y'all kids how to pay money back when it's being given to them. And y'all didn't do that. You putting all this weight on yourself purposefully because you want to feel sorry for it. You want to feel sympathy for it. But now you keep on putting yourself in this position expecting different results and you keep getting the same thing. Nell, you're going to have to say no. Your kids are not going to love you any less if you don't give them any money. And as far as you still want to hold off and feel resentful for the money that they have not paid you back, just say, you know what? I'm letting go. I'm going to let go of all the times I have helped y'all financially, and I'm going to let go of all the money. I know y'all owe me, and I'm going to say it's done. Debt settled. I'm not going to say nothing else about it. But right now, right here, I'm not spending no more money on y'all. Y'all asking me for nothing, I'm going to say no. Figure it out. No, figure it out. And you're going to feel so much better, Nell, when you actually say the word no and mean it. Because I feel like you guilt yourself in wanting to help your kids. Because you don't want them to not call you, not ask you, because you want to feel needed. But anytime you feel needed, you feel slighted. You look for ways of being mad all over again, and it's not necessary. You're the one that's hurting yourself. Your kids are not hurting you the way that they're hurting you. You're the one hurting yourself. So she gets up, she says, everybody needs to shut the fuck up. And that was the end of the scene. When she slammed that table and nobody else moved, they know how Nell gets down. They have been immune to her treatment. But at this point, I'm tired of it, Nell. I understand how you felt when it came down to Tisha and Kimmy, but I have always said when it came down to your family, you are the one that has the power to manage and monitor how you want to move forward with your kids and how you want to be respected, you want to feel appreciated, and you also want to live your life. You don't want your life to be constantly revolved around your children, helping them out with their problems and nobody else helping out with yours. So, Nell, please, if you're going to put boundaries in place, Nell, you're going to have to operate on them as well. Because it feels like you're the one who keeps on blurring those lines because you don't want to make it difficult. It's going to have to be, Nell. It's going to have to. If you want a better relationship, you're going to have to make some hard decisions and stick with them. But all in all, that was pretty much the end of the episode. Come to find out, this upcoming Saturday, it's a holiday special. I will not be watching nor reviewing because I feel like there's no point. Why a holiday special now? All these breaks that they're having, y'all might as well go ahead and chop this show if y'all not gonna give us a consistent season without breaks. But that was pretty much the end of it. But y'all, that's all I have. Please stay tuned for my next video. I'm see you guys later. Bye.